Everything you learned in history class was a lie. Well, maybe not everything, but they skipped the best parts. Introducing Stupiracy, where stupidity meets conspiracy. Ever heard of the Olympic marathon that nearly killed its runners? Or the time a pope put another pope's corpse on trial? Join me, Scott Rizzuto, and Tim McKernan as we uncover the most outrageous historical moments and mind-blowing conspiracies you won't believe actually happened. Tune into Stupiracy for your weekly dose of historical absurdity. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, history is dumb, but laughing at it is smart.
Let's involve risk.
And now, live from the TCL broadcast studios, it's Joe Souchere and Patrick Royce with Sports Talk.
About a 50% chance of rain in Chicago at 7 o'clock. I hope they get the game in. And I bet they'll make every effort to.
Oh, yeah, they don't want to disappoint the fans. They don't want to disappoint those 8,000 Mighty Whitey fans.
We don't know if Reavers made it to the ballpark or not.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He's on the way with driving today with 2 kids and then going straight to the ballpark. That's
99 bottles of beer on the wall.
That's a brave man right there.
Did he take the 2 kids by himself?
Took them both, yeah.
Oh, no, but did the missus go with him?
Hell no. She thinks she's crazy.
Like she said, some quality father-son time.
Yes. Wow. I don't know. I can see taking the 5-year-old, but the 2-year-old, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know if I would.
I don't know about bringing. Every time I see Leland, he looks like he's up to no good too.
Right,
so I don't
right.
think I'd.
You're dealing with a short attention span at 2.
Yeah. You drive 7 hours, a little over to get to the south side, and then you got a kid who wants to leave after 2 innings. Right?
Are you driving down?
Yep.
And you're leaving when?
Thursday
morning?
But I'm not going to any game till Friday afternoon.
Yeah, all right.
In fact, I might go home and see if I can get the bride.
Here we go.
To load her up about 8 o'clock and Wednesday night and drive 3 hours and stay in beautiful downtown Toma or something and just make it a nice, relaxing Thursday drive. I don't like the 7-hour drive.
Got to break it up a bit.
Yeah.
Break it up a bit. See the town.
That's right.
Just don't forget her when you're at the gas station.
I got a hunch she'll pass on that, though. Hey, big comeback for the finger in sporting events today and yesterday. The bird is making a big comeback.
Really?
Last night.
And does this have to do with soccer?
Well, that's partially. But last night, the NBA, like the NHL, is having its awards ceremony, giving out awards for things earned 2.5 months earlier, because they're all regular season based, right? Not playoff based. And Charles Barkley's up there at the stage with some other fairly modern player. I'm not sure who. And they're talking about, they got Elgin Baylor in the crowd and Bill Russell in the crowd, and he's saying, we owe a lot to guys like Bill Russell, and Charles is going on, and they put the camera on Bill Russell, and he gives him the sneaky finger. Really? Yeah, he was always a kind of a disturber, a scamp.
Well, I would say scamp. He was not a bad guy or a mean guy.
Oh, no, but he was great. He was Charles before Charles on TV. People don't remember that. When he first stopped playing and coaching, he became the ABC analyst, and he was hysterical. He was extremely irreverent and funny as hell. And it was at a time when we weren't used to that, So, but then today, Argentina is playing Nigeria, and they have to win.
Okay.
They have to win. So now it's 1-1, but their greatest star is Maradona, right? Okay. Diego Maradona. He won the World Cup for them in Mexico City in whatever year it was with a handball, which is illegal. The ref didn't see it, and he said that it wasn't his hand; it was the hand of God. He said it was the hand of God that knocked it in. Well, and he's become kind of this chubby, been an alleged drug user, crazy guy, but he's still a hero there. So they bring him along with their delegation. First of all, today the game's going on. Somebody tweets out a photo of him just basically passed out, hanging over the back of his chair. So now it's 1-1, and they're late. They're late in regulation time before they get to that extra time. And
what the hell is extra time?
They don't stop the clock when the ball goes out of bounds or stuff like that. So they estimate how much time was killed when people were just chasing the ball when it went into the stands or something.
That's what the timekeeper is for, though. You got one
they
job.
They just estimate it.
Right.
Okay,
they
but
basically
so
just
some
throw
teams
some in.
leading 5-1, and the time ends. Does every game get extra time?
Generally speaking, yes.
Huh.
Generally speaking, there's always been a minute or two.
Yeah.
But it's how many delays there are, how many times the ball's kicked out of play and then not put immediately back into play. And maybe they have a more refined system now where they actually keep seconds and stuff. But it used to be refs whim. But anyway, they finally score.
Yep.
With late in the Argentina crowd, which was most of it, goes nuts and crazy, and they're crying. And Maradano's in kind of a little, not in outside, but a suite type deal, a special seating area. And he basically goes like this, and then double gives the finger to the Nigerian fans, of whom there was probably 14 of them. He's basically giving everybody, the TV cameras, it was
the forceful bird.
It was a high class, something that you would expect from.
I just want to know when the final is. That's all I want to know.
Weeks from now.
Okay,
it's not even close.
All right.
We aren't even out of the group play yet. So once we get out of the group play, which I think is 2 more days, I don't think we start the knockout round till next Tuesday, and then you only have 2 games a day, and there's 8 games to play. So,
is England still alive?
Oh yeah, they're in good shape. They're in. They still have a 3rd game to play, but they've advanced.
Does
already.
Rooney play for him?
No, oh God, no. I think he's been run out now. I don't think he plays anymore.
But the countries have teams that when they're not doing the World Cup, these guys are playing for other teams, right?
No. Everywhere in the world, they basically shut it down except here. They basically shut it down.
No, what I mean is when Redondo, what's his name? Ronaldo. When he's not playing in the World Cup, he plays for
one of the Spain teams, Barcelona or Madrid.
Yeah.
Barcelona or Madrid, I'm not sure.
I'm not up on my soccer.
No, I'm not either. But, and Messi does too, the Argentinian, the great Argentinian who scored a goal today. He plays for a team too. Yes, they play elsewhere, but... And supposedly Rooney, somebody just told me, I think Manny Hill, who knows all, told me that, or Brad Lane, I guess, said that Rooney's supposedly signing with the Washington franchise, DC United. So we'll bring Colleen over here and see, maybe she'll stay back and hang out on the Canary Islands.
They take a lot of holidays.
Oh, they do. They do. Colleen especially.
Colleen takes a lot of holidays.
Colleen's getting a little age on her now, though. I don't know. She's going to have to keep working out to keep up with the other wags, I'll tell you.
Yeah, the wags are pretty good looking.
The tabloids, the London tabloids, truly enjoy the little bit of off season they get when they all go on holiday, when all the wags go on holiday. It's pretty damn good. Yeah.
I saw a picture of the wags today. You can't open a tabloid without seeing the wags.
Because they're all in Washington. They're all in Russia now, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know who has some good-looking wags?
Well, they all do.
Iran.
Really?
Yeah.
Aren't they all covered up?
Yeah, they looked a little more relaxed clothing.
Not the ones that like soccer.
No.
Don't they have to wear the head stuff?
I don't think so. I saw some who were very fetching.
Really?
Well, Pat, you're 1 step ahead of both of us, because how much World Cup have you watched, Joe?
None.
About as much as I have.
I watched maybe 20 minutes because it's on when you got nothing
20
on.
minutes.
Well, you're on.
That's 20 minutes more than me.
Yeah. Well, I do enjoy seeing the countries such as Argentina that would basically destroy itself if they wouldn't have advanced to the knockout round.
right.
Because if they don't win today, they don't advance, and then they're humiliated. The coach gets fired. Who knows what happens to the players? They might disappear.
We just as sports crazy as the United States.
No,
is,
we don't. We're not going to have.
There's nothing really for God and country.
No. We pretend, but there's really not. Not even the Olympics don't involve us quite as much as they used to either.
Because the Olympics don't mean what they used to mean. They're overdone.
Plus, we're the bad guys.
Yeah.
We used to be the good guys because Russia was the worst. As I say, once again, bring back the Iron Curtain. Much better for the Olympics. Much better for the Olympics.
So were the East Germans.
Yeah, they were great for the Olympics. Yeah, we hated them.
You get Broomhilda there with a shot put in her.
Yeah, right.
You wanted to hate the East Germans.
Full beard.
Yeah.
We don't know. Yeah.
I think experiments were done.
Tamara Press. I remember Tamara Press in the 60s, the shot putter, man. That wasn't no gal. No, they were
That
doing
was Barry.
There were some hijinks because she looked like Barry.
That was Heinrich.
Barry could bring it.
Yeah, right.
Who's not Barry?
Bongo.
Bongo.
Barry's
could
the
bring
other guy. That's that buddy you knew from way back.
Did you see who the Wild hired today? Tommy Curvers,
yeah.
the great Tommy Curvers.
He played at UMD, I guess.
Yeah, Hobie Baker winner. Mm-hmm. Last college game, 4 overtime loss in the national title game to Bowling Green.
Really?
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker.
Now, is he assistant GM to Fenton?
Yes. Yeah, he'd been in Tampa with Iserman for 10 or 11 years. He'll be on today at 4:15.
Well, Tampa's had a good program, and so has Nashville.
This guy, very sharp hockey guy, Tom Curvers.
All right, just a moment. Dead now.
First year he played 17 years. He played, mid 70s. So getting out of college in 40 years ago. 43 years ago, 65.
That's pretty young to have
65,
Alzheimer's.
66, yeah. Well, you think football might have helped?
I think it helps to bang
does.
your head 15 times a game.
70 some years. He is in the San Diego Chargers Hall of Fame because he played there 8 years. Mm-hmm. He played there 9. He played here 9, and he is not in the Vikings Ring of Honor.
Really?
Might be their third best offensive lineman ever behind Randall McDaniel and Ron Yeri, but he's not in their Ring of Honor as of yet.
Have you been to the new practice facility?
No, sir. I've been by it when they were building it, driving on that part of 494. But
so the entire Mankato tradition is done.
We're done, baby.
We're done.
We just dropped them like a bad habit.
And the public will be accommodated for practices.
In some version, but it's the impromptu waking up at 10 o'clock in the morning and saying, hey, let's drive to Mankato for afternoon practice. That's over. You got to have tickets ahead of time. You have to make arrangements. You got to get your parking, $10 to park. And I think you have to get your parking ahead of time, too. You got to pay $10 for your parking ahead of time.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Wow.
It's all organized.
That's thievery.
So no more just putting a lawn chair in the trunk, grabbing the kids and sitting outside a chain link fence.
What the hell? It was supposed to rain, but it's not raining, so let's go watch the Vikings practice. Those days are over.
These people are weasels. Man.
Yeah, and there are now you get in for free. You got to pay park, but you get in for free. Except they're going to let 5,000 people in a day, and 1,000 of them can pay $20 to sit and watch.
What about the do-gooders? Can they take Metro Transit?
I don't think you can get out to Egan on Metro. Oh, I guess, is there a bus?
Hell
take a bus.
Hell if I know.
Probably take you 3 days to get there, right? On a bus.
Good for you.
It's
Keep you out of our hair.
It's the old Northwest Airlines hangar out there.
Right.
That's and it's right off 494, but I haven't been out there yet.
I've seen it from the freeway.
I think it's too complicated. Just like the new dome. It's too complicated. Mm-hmm. I like walking in the door and knowing where the hell I'm going.
So what's happening to Winter Park?
Ziggy owns it, and he's going to develop it. a lot of people thought he could sell that land for more money than he paid for the land in Egan, but I think he's a developer. What's he going to do? He's going to develop it.
Apartments, stuff like that.
Something there. There's that big warehouse right next door. He's probably trying to get his hands on that too, I would think.
Do you remember when the Vikings headquarters was on France
Avenue? I certainly do. Ticket office about the size, an office about the size of this studio.
Yeah. France and what? Give me some
right
perspective.
across from where the Barleys is. Though out there on what
between Crosstown and 494.
Oh, okay,
that's France.
Yeah, it's on France, right up the south of Southdale.
Okay.
Yeah, they're little tiny.
Well, it used to be a restaurant headquarters, I think, or became a restaurant.
Maybe it did. Yeah, but it was very modest, to say the least.
But that's where Finks would have held court.
Yeah, Finks. That's it. Yeah.
Is this a trend in the NFL, or is this new?
No,
are the Vikings
it's happening
just
all over Texas? Yeah,
so they're following a trend.
Yeah, Dallas is happening all over.
Okay.
Kenny, it's the same thing that's happened to spring training baseball.
Yeah.
They have magnificent complexes now.
I mean, with baseball, at least they're accessible, and it's
Kenny, the greatest thing about the old Vikings when they were going to Super Bowls, the practice facility was Midway Stadium in September. Once they left Mankato or Bemidji, they'd go to Midway Stadium and wait till the baseball season was over at Met Stadium. Then they'd pack up the 4 trucks they needed then and drive out to Met Stadium, and then they'd practice at Met Stadium.
No kidding.
And when it snowed or sleeted or stuff, they'd roll back the tarp about 20 yards, and they'd practice.
On one end.
They'd practice for one end, and, go to Super Bowls. And the punters, you'd see the punters out there, and they'd be kicking the ball, land in the snow. They'd have to go take it out of the snow and come back. And
Jim Marshall threw a football at my head
there
at Midway Stadium.
Did he?
And if it would have hit me, it would have killed me. It went by my ear like a bullet. It went, oh!
Yeah.
They thought that was amusing.
Well, yes.
I think I wet myself.
He's, you know what? That was your one and only near-death experience. He had about 20 of them.
Yeah.
Crashing his. He was telling me about the hang glider that he crashed out here in Bloomington.
Yeah.
He went about 40 feet and ended up hitting. He got up and boom, was it a glider? No, it was one of those.
Electric glider?
It was one of, it was a little tiny single
prop on it.
Single
fan,
plane
as you would say,
ultralight.
fan.
An ultralight.
Yeah, but really smaller than that almost, just hanging on.
And he was probably too big for it.
Oh, and it crashed into the fence.
Was he part of Jim Klobuchar's ill-famed
yeah, he was on that
trip?
thing, when the guy died, He was
but I
part of
wouldn't
that.
believe any quotes you would have read from Marshall if Klobuchar wrote them. Because he would have made them all up.
Yeah, but they would have been good, man.
They would have been good
They
quotes.
would have been good quotes.
But it would have been nothing Jim Marshall said.
Well, maybe near death. I can see Jim Marshall having good quotes up there.
Say, we'll be back shortly, but now thanks to our great friends in Owatonna, Minnesota at Federated Insurance, where it's their business to protect your business, and nobody does that better than Federated. It's Bruce Vail from the Wall Street Journal and Your Money Now.
Well, we had some gains on Wall Street today. After a big sell-off yesterday, stocks recovered just a bit. Some of the gains did fade away in the final few minutes of trading, but the Dow Jones Industrial Average hung on for a 30-point gain, closing at 24,283. The NASDAQ Composite rose 29 points. The S&P 500 gained 6. CBS and the NFL have extended their agreement to stream games that are airing on the network on CBS All Access. The deal will extend the agreement through the 2022 NFL season. The entire 2018-19 NFL season, including the Super Bowl, will now be streamed live on all CBS All Access platforms. Hershey is partnering with Dollar General on military appreciation bars. The candy bars feature exclusive wrappers with red, white, and blue motifs and messages supporting the military. The lineup includes Hershey's chocolate bars, Kit Kats, and Reese's. The two companies will also donate $10,000 to the USO to further support military service members around the world. I'm Bruce Vail with your money now on 1500 ESPN.
Holy crap. You wouldn't believe the crash I'm looking at. Thank you very much, Bruce. We'll let you go. We're going to get to this one, and it's sponsored by Jersey Mike Subs. Some poor doofus in an SUV dragging a bumper pull camper lost control on eastbound Highway 10 at County J. He spun it around. The camper's now laying on its side, and the SUV pointed into the ditch. The right lane of eastbound Highway 10 is closed there. Looks like there is an ambulance on the scene, so I'm not sure of any injuries or the extent of those injuries, but expect big delays eastbound 10 as you approach 35W. The sub-above difference is substantial. After all, all right, we've got a crash on eastbound Highway 10 at County J that has traffic slowing prior to Airport Road. The right lane is closed at the scene. Down in Chaska, Highway 41 now closed over the Minnesota River, and MnDOT's building a big old dike along 35W between Black Dog and Cliff. It's going to take all day tomorrow to do that, so look for right lane closures in Burnsville. Now back to Sports Talk on 1500 ESPN.
What am I looking at on Channel 22?
So it's a bumper pull camper being drugged by an SUV, and it looks like he lost it or had to hit the brakes or something happened. The car looks like the car stayed upright, but the camper is laying on its side.
That?
Eastbound 10 County J. That's just prior to southbound 35W.
Here's John Heidt.
By the way, nice post.
Thank you.
It's cloudy and 73 degrees. Twins opening up a 9-game road trip tonight against the Chicago White Sox. Lance Lynn pitches for the Twins. Righty Ronaldo Lopez goes for the White Sox. There is a decent chance of rain. Hopefully they'll be able to get that game in. Twins have recalled Jake Cave from Rochester to take the spot of Ryan Lamar, who they optioned over the weekend. Minnesota Lynx in action.
I'll tell you what,
tonight.
Gentlemen. The days that you think you could have gotten Calvin to pay the transportation and the service time for a guy because you wanted a left-handed hitting outfielder instead of a right-handed hitting outfielder for a week.
Nobody even would have bothered to ask.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to switch because we see they're starting 6 right-handers, so we're going to switch outfielders.
What does this mean for Joe's dope-smoking friend?
He's still there.
Okay,
Can't get rid of him.
Good.
He's just hoping they don't play him, Kenny. If I was him, I'd get a haircut so they didn't notice me.
Lynx in action at home tonight, playing the Seattle Storm.
It's like me during Sports Talk. God, I hope they don't talk to me today. Jeez.
New Minnesota Wild GM Paul Fenton has installed Tom Curvers as assistant general manager. Curvers, a Bloomington Jefferson grad who won college hockey's Hobie Baker Award back in 1984 at Duluth, then played 11 seasons in the NHL.
First Bulldog, I think. First Bulldog. I don't think Bill Watson ever won it.
News notes from today's Star Tribune reporting a tense standoff at a New Hope apartment between law enforcement and a man holding 2 kids ended this afternoon with the man's capture and no injuries. The children were not harmed, according to emergency dispatch audio aired from the scene about 2:15 this afternoon. It began as a domestic dispute between the man, possibly armed, and his girlfriend last night around 8 o'clock. John Elder with the police department, or city council member, said the woman left the apartment at some point and told police the suspect was threatening to harm her children. Dispatch audio revealed in the first handful of hours the kids inside were 2 and 4 years old. Meanwhile, a man drove his vehicle through a fence and into a house shortly before noon today in Forest Lake, then set fire with gasoline in the garage and barricaded himself in until his capture this afternoon. This all happened at shortly after 1 o'clock.
Another domestic, Johnny?
Yep. Shortly after 1 o'clock, he surrendered to law enforcement. No injuries to anyone on the property. The commander said the suspect started a fire in the detached garage. He did not say how much damage the blaze caused. Commander Greg Weiss said the mayhem stemmed from a dispute the man had with his ex-wife, who lives in the house where the garage was located.
A lot of goofy guys let the domestic associate drive them crazy, don't they? They let them drive them crazy.
4 people saved.
Live and let live. That's what I say.
4 people.
Well, I've heard a few of your comments.
Sometimes not as easy in practice as you think.
4 people saved on the Rum River in Isanti County yesterday after the inner tubes they were using to float on the river popped.
What, a couple of chubbies or what?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
The incident happened around.
I've never heard of a popped inner tube.
I haven't either. Yeah.
Would they hit rock or
Something must have hit something.
Incident happened around 4 in the afternoon, just south of the city of Isanti. According to the Isanti County Sheriff's Office, an adult and 3 kids were holding onto a tree while stranded in the river after the inner tubes popped. Nobody was injured during the incident. The sheriff said all the parties were wearing personal flotation devices.
They don't have giant carp or something in the Rum River, do they?
Oh, goodness.
In its decision to uphold the travel ban, the Supreme Court also repudiated a long discredited ruling that nonetheless stood until today, the case that upheld the constitutionality of forcing Americans of Japanese descent into detention camps during World War II. The opportunity to revisit the ruling presented itself in a dissenting opinion by Justice Sonia Sotomayor, which compared the internment of Japanese Americans to groups affected by the Trump travel ban. Chief Justice John Roberts rejected that comparison, but he did say the reference to Korematsu versus the United States affords this court the opportunity to make express what is already obvious. Korematsu was gravely wrong the day it was decided.
See, very even-handed Supreme Court.
Has been overruled in the court of
against
history.
determined camps.
And to be clear, has no place in law under the Constitution. Now, I had to look up a word that he said here. Let me see if you guys know what it means. He said, it is wholly inapt, INAPT, to liken that order to a neutral policy denying.
I don't think that's a word.
It is a word. I looked it up.
It is?
And he used it correctly.
You're kidding. I thought it was inept.
Yeah, well, and they're two different things.
different
I would
words.
guess. Inapt means inappropriate, maybe?
It means not suitable or appropriate. That's correct,
be damned.
Patrick. So he said it's totally inapt to liken that morally repugnant order to facially neutral policy denying certain foreign nationals.
Has he got a
privilege of
tweet
admission.
editor? Has he got somebody that follows him around? He says, here's my latest one. Check it.
Trump?
Yeah.
Oh, God, no, he doesn't care about grammar.
he
doesn't
yeah,
care
he
about
often
grammar.
gets
Then how could he get that word right?
No, this was
that
John
wasn't
Roberts.
Trump. This was John Roberts.
Oh,
for God's
hey,
sake.
then I would not
Joe,
have doubted it.
Joe, are you listening?
If Trump would have tried to, if Trump had inapt, everybody, it would have been inapt misspelled. That's what it would have been with Trump. So. He got a big supporter today, though. David Lynch, one of the clearest thinking. All you got to do to go to one of his movies, you know how clear that brain's working.
Well, but part of that, did you see the follow-up to that?
What? Explain this. Back up. What
David
happened?
Lynch said he has the possibility of becoming the greatest president in the history of the United States, but he followed that, and nobody pointed this out by writing a letter to the president saying if he doesn't quit being, bad in areas he thinks he's being bad in, that he won't be the greatest president in the history of the United States. So David followed that up with a caveat, shall we say.
So I learned watching Drunk History that these internment camps, they actually jailed and put Americans in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, fellas, born in the USA.
Yes, certainly.
100% citizens born here on these soils, off to jail.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That was FDR that did that.
Yeah, the hero FDR.
A lot of political pressure then. We couldn't trust him.
Back to that last story. Was that inapt?
What is interesting is why didn't we put Germans in internment camps?
That's a good point. Because they didn't bomb Pearl Harbor.
What are you doing,
I
Matt?
guess so.
They could have put my family in if it was German.
Try again, Matt. What
Okay,
are you
go
doing?
ahead, Ron.
Matt's doing something
He was
here.
supposed to inapt natural.
Does this look like gub or gun?
Oh, God. I'm sorry I backed it up.
But what's app mean? It's act. ACT. Act natural. Please put $50,000 into this bag. Act natural. It's not.
Oh, I see. This is a holdup.
Yes.
May I see your gun?
Long way there.
If this was the old days and that was on cart, I would bulk erase that and then
Immediately.
break the cart. We've heard that enough.
Would you do it?
I never want to hear that again.
Would you be acting natural while you did it?
I'm going to tackle you.
What's apt mean? What's apt?
So, Kenny,
Don't encourage him,
Kenny,
Joe.
Kenny, what you're lobbying for on this show is all new material. Then
I made the mistake
It's hard being funny, Kenny.
I made the mistake of turning you morons on once during a vacation. And you're doing this, he's blurry thing. Oh, my God, you do the blurry thing
We
once
haven't
a
done
week.
that in ages.
That's because Francis, I told Francis if he ever says it again, I'm going to kick him right in the baby maker.
Okay, I will admit he has a problem. Anytime Bigfoot, he's talking about blurry. Yeah.
You don't try to
Listen
defer
there,
it from me.
Reavers is big on the blurry thing.
Blurry.
Anyway.
The widow of First Lieutenant Garland Merle Connor waged a 22-year campaign to get his Distinguished Service Cross, which he was awarded for actions on January 24th, 1945 in France, upgraded to a Medal of Honor. And today it was presented by President Trump. As it turns out, the veteran's upgrade needed eyewitness accounts, which were finally found by Kentucky Congressman Ed Whitfield. His widow at this ceremony today spoke about the toll his tour of duty, which included being wounded 7 times,
My goodness.
had on her husband, who she married at the age of 16. Pauline said at the Pentagon, in World War II in Korea, they didn't recognize PTSD like they did in Vietnam. I've always said if anybody ever had PTSD, he did. He'd wake up in the night with nightmares, and after I'd wake him up, he would go outside, sit on the porch, and smoke cigarettes for hours at a time. However, she said the husband wouldn't speak about what happened to him overseas. What happened was Connor's soldiers, the 7th Infantry, 3rd Battalion, facing a counterattack from 600 German troops armed with tank destroyers. Instead of retreating, Connor chose to run forward into enemy fire with the telephone in order to direct artillery fire
Wow.
in hopes of ending the attack.
Oh, what a badass. Wow.
He stayed in an irrigation ditch for 3 hours until the battle was won as swarms of German soldiers moved toward the battalion. Eric Villard, digital military historian from the Army Center of the Military, said he'd just come back from being wounded before this happened. He wasn't even supposed to be there. But he came back to his unit, ran forward, volunteered the mission, and did what he did. Trump said today, we pay tribute to this Kentucky farm boy who stared down evil. He was indeed a giant, larger than life, who will never be
What was his
forgotten.
first name?
His first name was Merle, I believe.
Merle.
Wasn't it?
You know what I would've
Garland.
said?
Garland. I'm
You know
sorry.
what I would
Garland.
have said? Go get him, Garland.
Garland Merle Connor, M-U-R-L.
Let me know what you find over there, okay? Get back to me.
Damn it. All right, before we get back to the show, Patrick and I don't get to listen to GL, so we don't know what the hell you clowns are talking about. And I've noticed on CNN here that the president has decided to take on Harley for Harley moving some of their manufacturing off the or out of the U.S.
Into Europe, yeah.
And I'm wondering why he would take on what I would consider to be his base. And I've heard that Joe has an explanation, and you actually talked about this during Garage Logic.
Well, first of all, Harley's already making bikes overseas.
Okay.
They're just, that's where they're selling bikes now. They're no longer selling as many bikes in this country.
But they did make a move to do more. Am I correct on that, Joe?
Yeah, because that's where their future is.
But they did it in reaction to tariffs, correct?
Because the retaliatory tariffs by the EU would increase the cost of a bike sold in, say, London by $2,200.
Right.
Well, they fear the people will buy them then, so we'll make these bikes in Thailand and then ship them to London, and the buyer's not going to have to pay an additional $2,200.
But Kenny, there's no great mystery as to why Trump would rip them, because they disagreed with something he did.
It just seems
simple.
like that. It just seems like that crowd and the people that ride Harley Davidsons are his base.
It is, but he has no consciousness about that.
And the other thing
He
is,
stumbles into this base.
they
all
just
the
won't.
time.
They won't vote. They might not vote, but they're not going to vote against it.
If you buy a Harley in this country 2 years from now, it will have been made in York, Pennsylvania. It will not have been made in Argentina or Thailand or wherever else they have. They have 4 manufacturing sites outside this country.
But the ones in Europe
They don't have a manufacturing site in Europe.
Might not be as expensive.
Right. They're trying to keep their costs down.
It seems like some of the things he's done has hurt what I would consider to be his base, including the
How
thing
about
with
how about the soybean?
That's
farmers?
exactly what I was headed for. You know, Minnesota is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, soybean producers, and we're getting kicked in the crotch by China because of retaliatory, tariffs and stuff.
I don't think that's not the way he operates.
Okay.
Tomorrow he might change his mind about Harley and say, you know what, they're right to go there.
Yes, sir. Are you looking for a hog or a piglet?
I want a sidecar.
Nothing is as it used to be. I mean, everything is different with Mr. Trump, with the president.
But we can make a deal. We
Price
can make
for
a
you?
deal for your motorcycle.
Johnny, what you got?
Kenny was, I'd like to point out before that segment.
No, keep
swearing.
that. Keep that
you
off.
were swearing at
keep
you
it off the air.
You were swearing at me, Kenny.
Keep it off the air, Joe.
Okay.
I think he's got a good story for you.
Okay.
It's a good story.
I just think it's an interesting discussion, and Patrick and I should be allowed in.
Well, here's one story we are bringing back. Kenny Rook asked me to bring this back. I used it on GL.
I didn't ask you to bring it back.
He wanted you to hear this one. No, really. He did. That's how it worked out on the air.
About this guy that bought a bag of carrots at the store.
No,
They were bad.
Were they blurry?
They were blurry. A machete-wielding Montana woman broke into her ex-boyfriend's house.
All right.
Didn't ask, directed him to undress, and then forced him to have sex with her, according to police. As detailed in the criminal complaint.
Sounds like role play to me.
It wasn't. She's arrested.
He's in the no-go zone.
As detailed in the criminal complaint, 19-year-old Samantha Mears entered
a
the
19-year-old? Wow.
entered the victim's Great Falls residence Friday when he wasn't home. When the man got back, Mears confronted him from behind with a machete. Mears then allegedly told the man to get on the bed and remove his clothes. The victim told police
We have a photo, Kenny. Johnny.
Yeah, there was a photo of her.
He's not a big gal.
What do we think?
She was, she wasn't,
All right.
wasn't a big gal. and
John said I would listen to her, okay? If she had a machete, I'd listen to her, okay? What else you got?
Her hormones were raging, though, were they? She had some urges.
The victim told police that he complied with Mears for fear of his safety, adding that he did not feel he could leave the room at any time without being hurt by Mears. Investigators say
All
that
4 times he was threatened with his safety.
So
This happened 4 days in a row.
So even with the threat and the machete right there, he still had no problem
go.
doing
Right.
his manly duty.
As a matter of fact, the investigators say after Mears removed her pants, she climbed atop the victim, and they engaged in sex.
Oh, I'm getting sweaty over here.
I couldn't believe my luck.
The victim said
Where
that
do you get a machete? That's what I want.
They're actually pretty cheap. You can
Really?
get them anywhere. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
the victim said that Mears, who continued to hold the machete while this was going on, also bit him on the arm and continued to have sex with him after he attempted to end the encounter. After they were all done,
Did he fake it?
After they were all done, Mears sat on the bed, still armed with her machete, and her back against the wall. It was during that time the victim took several photos of Mears with the machete in her hand. The man who provided
Hold it a little higher for me. A little more to the left.
The man who provided the images to police had a bite mark on his arm when later interviewed by the cops. He was able to back out of the bedroom, call 911, and escape the residence. Mears has been charged with aggravated burglary and assault with a weapon, both felonies. She also faces misdemeanor counts of criminal mischief, assault, and unlawful restraint. She's locked up, $50,000 bond at the Cascade County Jail.
That's an unusual story. Jim.
She also
Yes, it
has
is.
everybody in Montana trying to get her phone number.
Bail money. Get her bail money.
I've been to Great Falls, and that does not surprise me that happened in Great Falls. Yeah,
But I think the town's too small. He's got to leave. Either he has to leave or she does.
You know, back in the day, the third newspaper owned by the Cowles was Minneapolis, Des Moines, and the Great Falls Tribune.
I did not know
Yeah,
that.
they owned the Great Falls Tribune.
A castaway dubbed the Naked Hermit, who lived on a desert island for 30 years, has been forced to live in civilization. Masafumi Nagasaki spent the last 3 decades living on a deserted island. It's called Soto Banari.
that sounds like heaven.
The 82-year-old, who became known as the Naked Hermit because of his fondness for living in the nude, said his only wish was to live on the island and die on the island.
Well, what was
What
wrong
the hell
with
they yank him
Well,
off
yeah,
it for?
leave the guy
Well,
alone.
authorities removed him from his favorite place on earth after he became ill in April, and now they're banning him from returning home.
Wow.
Alvaro Cerezo, who runs Do Castaway, which documents island castaways, said he was kicked out of the island. Somebody saw him on the island, called the police, and took him back to civilization. He couldn't even fight back at the time. He was too weak, and now they won't let him back. When he first arrived on the island in 1989, he's lived with no phones, lighters, fresh water, or clothes. The island where Masafumi braves the typhoons and mosquitoes is so deserted that even fishermen rarely ever stop there. Alvaro Cerezo spent 5 days with Masafumi, and during his stay was told the castaway didn't want to leave, would risk his life to protect the island.
He should try to emigrate to the United States, and he'll be sent back to the island. We'll send him back to the island, and it'll all work out.
Hey, before we break here, all traffic on eastbound Highway 10 has been stopped, and nobody's getting by now at County J. A tow truck just tipped that bumper pull camper back up on its wheels. So I'm guessing they're going to pull that out of the way, and they'll allow traffic to get through here in the next couple of minutes. But for now, eastbound 10 is closed at County J.